Jake, it's just sportsman, yeah, YouTuber. Jake do a lot of...
Where maybe Paul has some advantages. He's younger, his feet a little faster. I know he's not...
The drama surrounding this potential matchup has sent shockwaves through the combat sports world, stirring arguments not only among fans but among champions, legends, and analysts who understand boxing at the deepest levels. Everywhere you look, people are asking the same question. What happens when a man whose entire professional life was built inside Olympic programs, championship rings, and the heavyweight battlefield stands across from a man who began his journey with a camera, a YouTube upload button, and a dream that no one initially took seriously? The possibility of Jake Paul facing Anthony Joshua has become a storm of conflicting predictions. Some see disaster. Others see opportunity. Some believe this fight ends in a single minute. Others insist that Jake has grown enough to survive longer than people think. Every opinion adds fuel to a discussion that refuses to fade. For Alexander Usyk, a man who defeated Joshua twice in championship-level chess matches of speed, precision, and discipline, this isn't a debate at all.
Work, special coach, special food, a lot of exercise.
At that level of a fight, I get it. But his feet are faster. Joshua's feet are not that fast, closing gaps, getting to somebody.
He speaks with the confidence of someone who has felt Joshua's power, absorbed his jab, endured his explosiveness, and studied him in ways only an opponent can. To Usyk, the fight ends in a single round, not because Jake is weak, but because the jump in levels is simply too steep. Years of amateur pedigree and Olympic refinement transformed Joshua into a machine built for the elite. Usyk sees this matchup not as sport but as spectacle, an event constructed by money rather than merit, and he believes the moment Joshua decides to throw with real purpose is the moment Jake's night ends. It is not cruelty. It is reality. Never in Jake's career has he stood across from a man who can end a fight with a single, fully committed strike. Yet on the opposite side of this discussion stands Tyson Fury, a man who has built his own legacy by defying expectations, surviving knockdowns that would have ended other careers, and becoming the most unpredictable heavyweight of his era. Fury sees something in Jake that others refuse to acknowledge. In his eyes, Jake is not the amateur many label him as.
To hit him, even if you're better than him, you still got to get to him to hit him. Also...
Yes. But this is guy don't have amateur fights.
Right.
Never.
Right.
Amateur fights.
He sees a young man transforming physically, adding weight, building muscle, and improving piece by piece. Fury believes momentum matters, that confidence shapes outcomes, and that Jake has climbed enough steps to begin threatening even the towering giants. For Fury, Joshua is no longer the unstoppable force he once appeared to be. He views Joshua as a man who has
been wrestling, now professional, but Anthony Joshua, it's Olympic champion.
So Joshua, last time he fought was over a year. He hasn't fought. He was basically retired. Where's his mind?
Been through wars, knockdowns, rebuilds, and periods of self-doubt. And in Fury's world, that combination makes Jake's chances far more real than the critics admit. Teddy Atlas, the strategist, enters the conversation with a measured perspective that strips away the circus-like energy surrounding the event. He speaks as a technician, someone who understands combat as a conversation of movement, rhythm, and psychology. He acknowledges the obvious physical advantages Joshua brings, the size, the power, the experience, but he refuses to ignore the tactical tools Jake has sharpened. Atlas points to Jake's youth, his faster feet, his improved timing, and the hunger that pushes him to train with an intensity many seasoned professionals lose over time. According to Atlas, the real intrigue lies not in comparing resumes, but in evaluating the gaps. He questions where Joshua's confidence sits after long layoffs, surprising defeats, and the emotional toll of being both praised and pressured by an entire nation. He wonders whether Joshua, like many stars before him, may underestimate the man standing across from him. Atlas stops short of predicting an upset, but he insists that Jake has enough assets to make this fight something more complex than a simple mismatch. Lamont Roach, with his calm and grounded approach, does not hesitate to express concern for Jake's safety. He respects ambition, but he also respects physics. To Roach, the idea of Jake absorbing a heavyweight strike thrown by Joshua with real intent is not an image that inspires excitement but alarm. He points out that Joshua does not need to fight with full aggression for the outcome to be devastating. The size difference alone could create a gulf Jake has never crossed. Roach acknowledges the brilliance of Jake securing such a massive event, but he fears the consequences of what might happen inside the ring when the lights are bright and Joshua unleashes even a fraction of his true power. Andrew Tate adds another layer to this complex narrative, approaching the situation from the perspective of a fighter who understands risk on a visceral level. His reaction is surprisingly respectful. Tate sees Jake's decision to face Joshua as an act of tremendous courage. He knows firsthand what it means to fight men who have spent their lives honing their craft. He applauds Jake for daring to step onto a platform almost no influencer would consider. For Tate, the outcome matters less than the bravery behind the attempt. He frames Jake's involvement not as foolishness but as ambition, the type of ambition that has defined every fighter who ever dared to chase greatness. Then comes the voice of caution, delivered by Sean O'Malley, a man who knows the brutality of combat sports better than most influencers or fans ever will. O'Malley expresses genuine fear, not theatrics, not hype, but fear, for the kind of damage a heavyweight punch can inflict. He warns of the knockouts that change a person permanently, the concussions that alter lives, the hits that don't just end fights but rewrite the rest of someone's story. He believes Jake is stepping into a realm where courage alone is not enough to protect him. And he raises a question that many refuse to ask. What happens if the outcome is not spectacular but deeply dangerous? Chael Sonnen, never afraid to strip emotion away, brings the discussion back to fundamentals. He lays out the facts plainly. Joshua has height. Joshua has weight. Joshua has reach. Joshua has world-level experience. Every category tilts dramatically in Joshua's favor. Sonnen does not dismiss Jake's growth, but he highlights the impossibility of comparing a man whose opposition comes from mixed martial arts retirees, influencers, and aging veterans to a former unified heavyweight world champion. Sonnen's analysis suggests that this fight is not a climb but a leap, and perhaps a leap too far. Chris Algieri adds the final piece to this growing mosaic, analyzing Joshua's history of handling mismatches. He explains that Joshua has always performed exactly as expected when facing opponents he should dominate. When the skill gap is wide, Joshua does not hesitate. He does not play with his food. He ends the fight. Algieri believes the same pattern applies here. If Joshua does not finish Jake early, he argues, fans will question the authenticity of the entire event. By the end, one truth becomes clear. This matchup has fractured the fight world into factions, each convinced they see the real outcome. Some predict disaster. Some predict shock. But all agree that if this fight happens, it won't simply be a contest. It will be a moment that tests courage, physics, ambition, and the unpredictable chaos that makes boxing unforgettable. What about you? Do you see Jake pulling off an impossible miracle, or do you believe Joshua ends it BEF? Or the second minute even begins? Could this become the biggest upset in modern boxing history, or one of the most dangerous mismatches ever made? Share your thoughts in the comments. Hit like if you enjoyed this deep dive, and be sure to subscribe for more cinematic breakdowns of the biggest stories shaking the world of combat sports.